as much as I can cram into a day. Bam, we're live. That was hardcore. Hardcore. I didn't even watch it all. I mean, I watched all the ones you sent me, but I didn't watch it all. And thank you for the concise links.
You're welcome.
I'm torn because I know I can't imagine anyone watching this show who doesn't like me. I can't imagine anyone watching the show who doesn't like want to come over to my house and like hang out and drink sparkling water and watch UFC, maybe shoot some threes out in the front yard, you know, whatever, go for a walk on the beach, do the shit that I like to do. I just can't imagine. But there are people I'm starting to find out who watch the show who don't like me. But what's crazy is that some of these people who don't like me, or maybe it's important because a handful of you, well, on a regular basis, I'd say once a week I get a text or a DM saying, holy shit, thank you. And I go, what? And they go, I finally get it. So, no. All right, cool. So I don't know. I don't know what to say.
What are you torn about?
I don't know what to say. I'm just like, part of me wants to be like, hey, if you don't like me, go away. Don't listen to the show. Like, just go away. I don't want you. I don't want anything to do with you. Don't let me add turmoil to your life. I don't want to add anxiety to your life. Don't come over here so I can feed your pain body, as the great Eckhart Tolle would say. But another part of me is like, hey, I know why you're here. You think that you know that I'm right. And there is a chance you too might wake up. And I get it. So I'm just I just can't figure it out. I don't know what I'm torn.
Your friend Barry likes you.
I like you. Let's talk qualifier layouts. Oh, Barry.
Quarterfinal layer.
I can't even keep up. So I am on the greatest. Caleb, tell him about. Is it the greatest games thread in the history of CrossFit Games?
It is. Not just quite possibly. It is the greatest games thread of all time.
I swear to God, I might even like Mike Halpin more. I'm even might like double heart Mike Halpin. I cannot believe how clever he is. But tomorrow is going to be crazy.
Yeah, tomorrow night, JR will be with us, and we will break down what we know so far about quarterfinals and preview what we expect to see in terms of both the workouts and the competition.
I like Frisbee golf more this week than last week. I guess that's healthy, right? Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I think the first week you were going in pretty blind. Not really. Yeah. Now you have a lot more. It's actually. Is Craig Glassner? We could just ask him about waves of adaptation.
You think I'm just adapting?
Last week was your first wave adaptation. And this is your second week adaptation. And after 2 or 3 more of these, you'll be in the flow.
You know, the guys that in college that I played when I would hang out with them, because I played more ultimate Frisbee and just Frisbee on the beach. But the guys who played the Frisbee golf were kind of dicks. Not kind of. They were dicks. They just weren't nice guys. They weren't nice guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
They were stuffy. They were stuffy. They weren't fun. They didn't get laid either. They were uptight guys. You know what I mean? You know what kind of guy I'm talking about?
Yeah, you're talking like about a surfers.
I mean, they're like the hacky sack crew. Like they were like.
You would think that people who surf regularly are pretty laid back, chill. They like to be outdoors in the ocean. You're welcoming. You can come. No. You go to the West Coast and you try to go to a surfing spot and they don't know you, they're going to fuck your shit up.
Yeah, they're dicks. And Frisbee golf guys are like that too?
I'm saying maybe. You might have a perception that they're just mellow, chill, potheads, whatever, throw Frisbees in the woods guys, but maybe they also have a little stigma about them.
The only Frisbee golfer I've ever met was incredibly nice. And I threw my Frisbee into...
Oh, thank you.
And now, the first before you, how about that? I threw my Frisbee into like 3 feet deep, like mud and water. And this guy just waded out there and grabbed it for me without question. And then he let me keep it, and it was his. He was a nice guy.
Wow. Well, these guys on the show seem really cool, except for like the best guy in the world seems a little old and stuffy. Macbeth.
Who is it? Paul Macbeth?
Yeah. He's the only dude who got his shirt tucked in. He's rich
like
though. He's rich,
the
right?
retirement home down in Florida where he moved to in the off season.
He's rich.
And by the way, Scott, I didn't bring him up. Sevan.
He's rich. Macbeth is rich.
Yeah, I mean, he has the company that sponsors him, Discraft, gave him a $10-year, $10 million deal 2 years ago. I'm sure he's got other sponsors besides that. He's got the most tournament winnings in the history of disc golf. He has his own foundation that does some really cool stuff. They put courses in all over the world. They've put a few in so far. And I mean, he was traveling around on a yacht over the off season, I guess. I don't know if he owns it or was renting it, but yeah, he's got a lot of money, but I think he's doing good things with it. And you know what I like about him is he still shows up to all the tournaments and he's always in the mix.
Okay, fair.
There have been what?
I'm concerned because there's two sets of notes that I have. Okay.
You're torn between the two?
I just want to make sure that they're identical and that I sent identical notes to Caleb. Well, let me set the scene up here and then Brian will really set it. We are on a frisbee disc golf. What do you call this game that we're covering?
Disc golf.
Disc golf, it's a 32-week season with 16 main events. We covered the first event 2 weeks ago, and this is the second event, and the second event was in Waco, Texas. Some girl from my high school died there in some FBI raid, I remember. Branch Davidian? Anyway. And for some reason, they're going down there for frisbee golf, 80-degree weather, windy. It seems like all these events are windy.
Wind is a massive factor in the disc golf. Yes.
They were at the not the Braziers Park East, like the porn, but the Brazos Park East.
Yeah, like the river.
Oh, is that what that was? That's the Brazos River that they're playing along?
It is.
Okay. And can we see a map where Waco is, Mr. Beaver?
Yeah, while he's pulling that up, I can tell you it's basically right between Dallas and Austin, slightly closer to Austin on I-35.
You been there?
I might be exactly between them, actually. Yeah, I've been to Waco many times.
What for?
Well, I used to live in Austin and also in Tyler, Texas. I spent like 8 years living there. I played college soccer in Texas. I coached high school football in Texas. We actually played a state quarterfinal high school game at Baylor Stadium, which is pretty cool.
I could see you being part of that Branch Davidian, like maybe that cult. Was it? Do you know about that in Waco?
A cult in Waco?
Yeah, you don't know about that? It may have been before your time. Trish definitely knows.
I'm going to pretend I don't know about it, but even if I did know everything about it, I would still say no.
Okay, fair enough. Big crowd, good weather. Second event. Some of the things I learned is that last week a guy named Calvin Heimberg, and his nickname, I didn't know his nickname until this week. His nickname is Vinny. Is that right? Yeah. They call him Vinny?
Yeah, I guess so.
What, you don't think so? Or
yeah. His friends, yeah.
Yeah, Vinny. And there must be some total score running because
points. So there's you can earn points throughout the entire year for the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships, which would be the last of the 16 Pro Tour events that we cover. And he's probably the points leader since he won the first Pro Tour event. You can get points from other events, but the Pro Tour obviously has the most points. So since he won week one or the first tournament in Vegas, he's probably the points leader at this point.
There's something kind of annoying about this sport I want to show you. Can you go back to that picture? In other sports, you kind of stay true to the technique. So even if you're not going to throw a punch as hard as you can, you still go core to extremity, right? This fucking sport, these guys will get in these positions that are just so fucking weird, and they'll just start like at the halfway mark to their extremity, and that's how they fucking control how hard they throw it sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And they have no issue coming off their midline and looking like a complete dork. You know what I mean? Like I thought, like with their ass back and them like look at you would think that like that's the end of a throw, but that may be just like at the end, but the beginning he was already out like this. It's a trip, right?
I don't know about that last part, but there are a lot of different ways to throw the disc, and sometimes
You know what I'm talking about though, the core to extremity part, right? They won't always start with their core. They'll come out like and just be like, all right, this is gonna be an arm hand throw or just a wrist flick or
yeah. So that'll depend on many different variables, including sometimes their stance. Like you might not be able to run up to the disc at sometimes. This is just a putt, so.
That's still core to extremity, though. At least that guy's getting his hip open. But I mean, you will see some shit that like you don't want to see like anyone you love in those positions. It's not a good look. But these guys,
yeah,
these guys
and
rock
it
that
happened.
shit.
No,
yeah,
but it happened to one of the guys that was contending for the win on the final round in the middle of the round, where he had to stretch out from behind a tree and just do a little flick forehand. And I think he's trained his back a little bit doing it.
no shit.
It was in the notes. You didn't read the notes?
No, God, dude, I got 10 pages of notes myself. Did they say that he may have strained his back, or you investigated that?
No, you could just see it on the because I was watching the live coverage, so it's not about they just there's a lot of dead air, and then the ones that you watch, it's just going to move straight past that, so they probably wouldn't mention it unless it ended up being a problem later on, which it did not seem to be.
Are you talking about Klein?
No, Adam Hammes.
Oh wow, no shit. Okay. I'm looking at the notes now. And another thing you should know about this sport, and we will talk about this as we go on, this sport is like developing very, very, very quickly. And the commentators are really cool at kind of letting you know that, because they'll talk to you about how well people did the previous year or the previous year or the previous year. And last week, one of the themes is that there's no bad golfers anymore. And in the sport, they've kind of weeded them out because the competition's so stiff. But this week, one of the themes was that new records were being set everywhere in terms of how many birdies people were getting and whatnot.
I think the biggest challenge with this tournament was the record that they did set was the most number of players within 3 shots of the lead heading into the final round. And there were at least a dozen, I think maybe 13 or 14 players that were still within 3 shots of the lead with 1 round to go. And basically what that means is, almost always the winner comes off the lead card. They're in one of the top 4 positions heading into the final round. Occasionally, and it's rare, the winner will come off of the chase card, which means they're in the 6, 7, 8, or 5, 6, 7, or 8 spot going into the last round. But in this tournament, there were guys on the 3rd card, so they're in 9th through 12th, that were still extremely relevant contenders for the tournament when the last round started. So it was really like a broader scope of potential winners heading into the final round than you would usually have. And as the round went on, you could, guys eliminated themselves just by not playing well enough. But even late into the round, there were still, 3 or 4 guys that could legitimately win.
And to give you guys who don't know, like I didn't know a couple weeks ago, when Brian says cards, the way this works is the dudes travel in packs. There's 4 guys per pack. And after each round, it sounds like the packs get reassessed based on who the best players are. So card 1 is the 4 best players, meaning the players with the best score. And it sounds like they do the course 3 times.
The tournament's they're always a little bit different. But in this case, yes, they play the same course on 3 consecutive days.
And do they rework the cards every 9 holes or just every 18 holes?
Yeah. So in the first round, it's either the Disc Golf Pro Tour or the course directors or a combination of those determine the start order. And there's a few cards where it's like a lot of times the featured card, which is not based on how they did in this tournament, but it's based on previous tournaments. So they'll have like last year's winner, the guy who won the previous tournament on tour, and maybe like a local guy, and then like another stud or something on the featured card. And they'll have like 2 to 4 featured cards throughout the day, and the best 2 cards supposedly be the last 2. Once everyone finishes playing on day 1, everyone has a score. And so if you're the one of the worst 4 guys, you're going to tee off earliest on the next day, just like on golf.
How many cards are there? How many athletes on the?
Usually there's 100 to 160 in the men's fields and like 30 to 60 in the women's fields.
Okay. Do you know how many were in this particular day?
I think there were 120 players in this one.
Waco, 120 men. Okay. And why aren't we covering the women? Because we're just not proficient enough at it yet?
I could talk about the women, but I think we should start with the men.
Okay.
It's more well established, even though it is similar to CrossFit in the respect that, the women do get similar opportunities. They have all the same tournaments. I'm not sure actually about the prize money. It might be less, but I think that's understandable given the, fact that they have 30 to 50% of the entries in the field, and they get coverage too. You can watch the women's lead cards the same as you can the men's.
So you can think of the cards as heats, and so the coverage is only for the first heat and the second heat, very similar to our sport. What's our sport again? Oh, CrossFit, right? Okay. The way I catch up to what Brian's knowledge is, he gave me about 2.5 hours of footage to watch. They're condensed looks by two companies. One of them is called Jomez Pro, and the other one is called something Media.
Gatekeeper
Media. And so I watched those two YouTube channels, Gatekeeper Media and Jomez Pro, and that's where I will be pulling the clips from. Now, I apologize in advance to Caleb because I time code these clips, and it's gonna be crazy. All right, page one. I did twice as many notes as last week. I wonder if this show can be done in 4 hours. Hole number one, Calvin Heimberg, the winner from last week. It sounds like throwing one of these discs perfectly straight is the hardest thing you can do. It's like trying to hold a camera still.
Yeah, especially if it's windy.
And Heimberg loves a straight shot. And at hole number one at the 4-minute mark, you will see this guy's incredible arm. The commentators want to give Calvin the throne as the best player. You can just tell they're not sure yet.
You want to send me those notes?
Oh, I didn't?
Yeah. So we skipped round one for the coverage this week. It was just random guys on the card. And after the first round, a couple, the top four players, including of which was Calvin Heimberg, was in the top four position. I think he was in second place after the first round. And basically, there are two players, Paul McBeth and Ricky Wysocki, that have been dominating the tour for most of the last decade. And there's another young guy, Eagle McMahon, who is like an up-and-coming superstar. And those three guys have won so many tournaments in the last, 4 years or so, that they come to mind as being the best players. But lurking in the background is Calvin Heimberg. He is by disc golf's rating system, he's been in the top 5 in the world for the last several years. He just doesn't win as often as those guys. So he's always close, but never winning. So it's more like a Vellner instead of a Medeiros or a Fraser. And it's like, even though we know he's great, we know he has the potential, until you step through the door and actually win when it matters the most, you're always going to be thought of second to the guys that find a way to win.
It seems like the commentators are ready to crown him. They're just not sure. Extra Sloppy just got here. Did we determine if Brian calls it frolf or disc golf yet? The world needs to know.
Disc golf.
Disc golf. Okay, there you go. $4.99. Well, money well spent. Here we are. Calvin Heimberg. It's our first look at him on the show today. Great straight shot by him.
Yeah, and this is the first hole here, and it's really demanding when the wind is up. You can choose this gap through the middle, and there are some players that throw this. It's a very difficult shot, and he gets pretty lucky there that it checks up and doesn't go out of bounds. A lot of the players also throw it high around the outside on a spike hyzer, but there's a pretty tight green up there. So it's a short hole, but it's a tough little tricky hole. And the problem with this course for the top players is people can shoot so low on it, like they can have so many birdies and score so much under par, that if you don't pick up at least 2 out of the first 3 holes with birdies, that you're already in a deficit going into the woods where they have 9 consecutive holes, and like half of them are really difficult.
And to what Brian said right there, you're about to see some holes that look nothing like the holes we looked at last week. I mean, it basically looks like they're shooting in a maze. At one point, a commentator called it the woods. Another commentator called it the jungle. I think both are apropos. Okay, 550, another great shot for Calvin, downhill shot. Some of the guys were saying that this is the hardest shot in the sport.
Well, it's tough. First of all, Calvin's like 6'4". He's standing on that basket where his foot is basically at the height of the basket. So he's like 6-7 feet above where he needs the disc to go. And then it's a little bit more narrow when you're coming in on that angle. Plus, if you miss the basket, it's probably going to go out of bounds over that wall back there.
And look at, that's the posture I'm talking about. Look, there's no core action going here, core to extremities, just like something in the middle to extremity. Can we see that one more time, Caleb?
It's a short putt, so he's probably just trying to limit the number of moving parts. So he's just going to keep it to like the shoulder out to the wrist.
Yeah, crazy. Shoulder to wrist. It's like a dance move. 755. They have these cement platforms that these homeboys tee off from. And I'm wondering, Brian, are these poured for, two questions, are these poured for Frisbee golf? And then look how far back he is. That's a tough transition right there on your footing, isn't it? To go from dirt and whatever that is there, hay, and then like a 3-inch step up to concrete.
Yeah, so those are tee pads that are in place because the course is there permanently. The last week we saw one that was on a ball golf course. And so that's a little bit more temporary. This course is always there. And if you go to Waco tomorrow, you could play this course. Now they might move the baskets around and put them in harder positions for the pros, but some of them might be exactly the same.
Why not a larger pad so that they can be on one, you know?
It's definitely a point of contention in the sport. There are other, you'll see tee pads on some courses that are a lot more tight than this, or they're maybe a little bit elevated. And if you want to take that exaggerated run up, then it's even that much more difficult to do. This is every disc golfer has a different like routine, and some of the guys are really, really limited in their preparation for their tee shots based on the size of the tee pads, whereas others, I think, realized, well, there are a lot of times where I won't get this full run up, and so I need to become proficient at doing it with just 2 or 3 steps as well.
All right, check this out. This transition with underneath his feet, just how much the ground changes.
This is Adam Hammes, by the way. He was a leader after round 1. He had shot 12 under par. He's still at 12 under par because he took a par on the first hole in round 2. And he will be in contention throughout the tournament. He's from Wisconsin, and he's a pretty good player. When he gets in the mix, he's competitive. But he's not always in the mix like some of the top guys are. But he's still a top 20 player in the world. And
he was prominent in the videos you sent me today.
Yeah, he was leading from round 1. He was leading after round 2. And then it would just be a matter if he could hold on for the final round.
Waco at the Brazos Park East hole 4. The commentators were suggesting that this hole 4 is a defining hole for the course, and this is the hole that they started using words like jungle.
It's the first hole in the woods. So 1 through 3 are in the open, and then 4 through 12 are in the woods, and then the last 6 holes are back in the open.
And they said even on the windiest days back in here, you can't feel the wind, or there'll be pockets of wind that blow through that you won't feel from the tee.
Yeah, so on this hole, the wind's probably not going to play. If you look on the far right of the screen there, you can see how close it is to the river, but it's so thick. So most of the hole is not affected by the wind, but the green has that little wind tunnel on the back, which you can see in the picture there. And so sometimes the putts can still be affected by it.
A very poignant question by Joey Clubbin. Why haven't I turned this off yet? It's a fucking incredible question. Caleb will be topless in a few minutes if you want to hang in there.
Just you wait.
At the
better.
Adam, so can you play a little bit of this? I think that they might do a pull out shot here. Let's see if we can get a couple seconds of this. Yeah, you can basically see. Hey, do they clear the Oh, and here's Calvin. We'll take a look at Calvin here, Heimberg. Do they clear these holes?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of work to keep this fairway clear, but also this course has been there for almost 30 years.
All right.
So the fairways and the rough are how they want it to be. So they want it to be very open in the middle, but it's tight. And if you miss at all, then you get punished by being in the thick woods. And almost always you'll just have to concede a stroke, punch out, and continue playing from there if you go in the woods.
It's something I noticed this week that I didn't notice last week. It was there last week, but I'm starting to understand the game more. Is these guys, it's kind of like a race. These guys will play. There's a game going on, kind of like they're head fucking each other. They play it safe. And then when one guy thinks it's time to take it risky, take a risk, he'll take a risk. And you'll see that as we get closer and closer to the end of the tournament. But there's clearly shots that guys might be able to make, but they don't take because they're kind of staying in a pack together. Is that right, Brian?
Yeah, and everyone will come in with a different strategy. So Adam Hammis, for example, was very open that there were specific holes in the woods, 4, 9, and 12, that he was playing them for par every round, no matter what. He wasn't going to take the risk of playing for trying to get a birdie on one of those and take a bogey or a double bogey. And we'll see how that fares against some of his closest competitors in the last round.
So here you see Adam Hames plays it safe on hole 4 at 1905. And hopefully this will give you an idea of what we're talking about. We're cruising.
Mm-hmm.
We're cruising. Keep going. That's Proctor, James Proctor. And that doesn't look like that's not him. Oh, there it is.
So Hammis actually did make a birdie on this hole, on hole 4. So he, which is good. It's a very difficult hole to birdie.
Okay, that was a poor example. Hopefully I can get you a better one. It was probably his throw before that I was referencing. 2020, Adam, hole 5, tough shot. Hits. Oh no, a great shot. This is a great shot. He hits the basket off the tee. I don't think I saw this ever last week.
I can't remember if anyone had near ace runs. There were a couple.
By the way, this isn't Adam Hames. That's Calvin Heimberg. Maybe I have my guys confused.
No, that's Heimberg. But Hammis comes up immediately after him, and he does hit this one off the bottom of the basket.
Did you remember that?
I know it's going to scoot up and hit the base of it, not hit the chains. Yeah.
God, how do you remember that? Yeah, that's an incredible shot, and you can see that. And when I was asking Brian about this course, I said, "Hey, man, these are really short holes, and it seems like there could be a lot of hole-in-ones." And Brian, didn't you say something like this may be the last time they use this course on the pro circuit because it's so easy?
I think that, what they were talking about this weekend is that next year at this tournament, there will be multiple courses as part of the tournament layout. This, like we said, this year, they use this course for all 3 rounds. I think they'll still use this course for at least 1 round next year, but not for all 3.
2150, a guy, we haven't mentioned his name yet, Nico LaCosta.
Nico LaCastro.
Like our Dave Castro, but La Castro. He's like the French version of Dave.
Lo Castro, yeah.
Lo Castro.
Nico's one of the most animated players on tour. He also has one of the, if not the lowest PDGA number on tour, meaning he's been a registered member of the PDGA for longer than almost any of these guys. He used to be one of the top players in the world like 10 and 15 years ago. He's still very good. 2 notable things about him is his attitude sometimes is questionable. And last year during the European Open, he got a 9-month suspension for the way that he interacted with the rules official.
Wow.
And during
I like it.
And during the offseason, he switched his disc company, which we talked a little bit about last week, that it can often be difficult to, have as much precision with discs that you've only been using for a few months, as opposed to some you've been using for a long time. But he also won this tournament in 2021. And so he was good enough to be on the lead card after the first round, which was, I would say, probably to most people's surprise.
Hey, he's the Dennis Rodman, John McEnroe of disc golf. He's the villain of disc golf. I mean, we don't have anyone who gets kicked out except for doing drugs. This guy got kicked out for attitude.
Yeah.
What did he do, Brian? What did he do? Is there video of it? Yeah,
there's video of it. I could try to find it for you. He was disputing a call, I think. Oh, the other thing about Nico LaCastro is he takes a long time over his shots. And this is actually a point of contention in the sport right now. You're supposed to have 30 seconds from when you approach your disc to when you throw your shot. And he frequently exceeds that time limit. And it's up to your card mates to call that. But I feel like the tournament should, usually, but I feel like the tournament should also be able to enforce that. And I think that at this European Open, he'd already gotten some warnings. And then the rules official said he took too long on a shot and gave him a penalty for it. And he did not like that. So he got right up in the guy's face. Yeah, this is it.
Wow. Yes. Take notes, fucking CrossFitters. Bunch of pussies. Here we go. Hey, this is when shit matters.
What
Look at.
happens
He
here?
sh-
He gets called for a time
Before this
violation.
round, so you have a penalty stroke. What?
Oh shit!
Why?
Oh shit! Pause.
EDJ rules.
Oh shit! He stepped up and pointed his nipples at him. Wow. Oh, what? Someone on the show was talking about that this morning. Adam Kramer was talking about. Right? Was that who it was? Someone was talking about like getting up and getting all puffy chested. Wow. Hey, that looks like the guy from Two Red Ferns, or what's that show with Gafalophagus?
Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, is that who that fucking ref is?
So you have
It looks like it.
What? You have a penalty stroke.
Why?
Excessive time.
Why?
EDJ rules.
Step away from me. Step back.
Oh. We're gonna get busted, Caleb. Stop this shit.
Sorry.
What a bitch that guy is. He puffed up on that guy and then told him to step back.
He doesn't stop there. He keeps following him, and
Okay, let's watch a little more. This is good. This is the best part of the show. Holy shit. Wow. You want to stare?
You want to stare me down?
Wow. Okay, yeah, is there more?
I don't know.
Nick. Let's get Nick on the show.
It's
He would actually be a great guest to have on. He's been around for a long time. He definitely has some personality. So
Wow. Dick Butter, it's time for a slap fight. Yeah. Well, it's fucking multi sport. Bo Jackson did 2 sports. Why not that guy? That's incredible. Wow. He was pissed. Hey, and that's huge, right? 1 point.
one stroke, yeah, it can make a big difference. That was on the last hole of the second to last round of the European Open, and he was in a top 10 position.
God damn.
And the European Open is one of 4 majors on the year. So like those are the big ones.
Let's see. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Okay. Nico. Well, this is appropriate. By the way, that shirt he's wearing, Andrew Hiller. Take note of that shirt. That might be your next shirt, dude. A shirt like a judge's shirt, a no rep judge's shirt that we all wear. That thing is dope. That's a fucking boss move wearing that shirt. Okay. Nico not doing what he needs to do. 2150. It looks like about a 25-foot putt. Here we go. Oh shit! Did you see him like shaking his head and shit?
He just kissed the tree.
He's a fucking.
Well, if you look at his
psycho.
scorecard in the bottom left, he birdied hole 1, he bogeyed a very easy hole 2, he made par on hole 3. So I told you that most of the top guys want to be 2 under par through 3 holes. He's even par through 3 holes. He took a par on 4, which is fine. 5's an easy hole, and he's missed the putt again. So he probably knows at this point I'm out of it. Like this course is too easy. These guys are too good, and through this 5-hole stretch, I've lost my chance to win the tournament.
Jake, come back tomorrow for that. Yeah, no, but stick around, Jake. You never know when Brian could start talking about CrossFit. His wires could get crossed, and he could start talking about floor plans and shit. Hang out. Enjoy this. Enjoy one guy who knows nothing about Frisbee golf and another guy who knows everything. Try to entertain. Okay. There was a term here. They call it sculpting shots. Used on hole 6, hole 7. And so I want you to start, those of you who are watching, start learning the vernacular of the game of Frisbee golf. Sculpting shots. It's nice, right?
Yeah,
Sculpting them
I think
around trees. And
yeah, probably shot shaping is more of the term that might be used. But in the woods, you have to, it's not just straight lines. Like there's an open path to the basket here, but you have to throw it on a certain angle, and you need it to move, in this case, from left to right at the appropriate time.
And we last week we talked about the hyzer is like the hook, right?
Yeah, so this is going to be either a backhand anhyzer or a forehand hyzer.
And then but then there's these other shots that are the forehand shots that go both. They go hyzer and anhyzer.
Yeah, so that like it have an S shape to them. Those are overstable discs that they're throwing.
Which is kind of ironic because they're understable.
If they're understable, then they're going to want to move in the one direction and continue moving that way. If they're overstable and you throw them on the anhyzer angle, then they'll fight back to the hyzer angle.
Okay, word. Are those understable discs always thrown forehand?
No, you can throw them forehand and backhand.
Okay. Hole 7, the staircase to the basket. God, this looks tough. This looks tough. I kind of actually felt bad for the guys. Hole 7's a son of a bitch. There's not a lot of options. There's just not a lot of options.
It's a cool hole because it's only 430 feet. So some of the guys can reach it from the tee, but in order to reach it from the tee, you have to throw an overstable forehand on an Anheuser angle that comes out of a really narrow gap and then flexes back into a really narrow alley to the green, which you can see right there. And we almost always will get caught up in between there. So even if you throw a perfect shot from the tee, you're still going to probably have, a 30 to 40 foot uphill tee shot at that basket. But it's a pretty easy birdie.
And Nico here kills his second shot.
Yeah, this is like a shot that Nico's famous for. It's just going to drift left to right, flatten out just at the end, and settle up right next to the basket.
And then 2802, Adam Hames also.
Hamas.
Yeah, Adam Anus shows off his what he's made of. This kid's 18. No, how old is this kid?
No, he's like maybe 23 or 4. He is a very, very good forehand player. Like the one you showed earlier that he threw in the woods and hit the basket, 95% of the field is throwing backhand on that hole, and he's throwing a forehand straight up the gut. And you'll see him do that on a few holes where a lot of the field is throwing backhand.
Hole 8, another straight narrow shot to the basket. We'll visit that later on one of the other rounds. Hole 9, par 4. Adam takes a huge shot at it. Of course, I don't have the time code. And then at 34:45, our boy Vinny, Calvin Heimberg, they start suggesting that he might be the current best player in the world. He gets a crazy putt here and passes Adam Hames.
Yeah, so this
Hamas or Hames?
Hamas. So holes 9 and 12 are probably the make or break holes on this course as far as the wooded holes go. This is like a perfect shot, and even from here, you have a really difficult upshot to get this to the basket. As you see, he gets caught up a little bit there, doesn't get all the way through. He still has a birdie putt, which I think we're going to see, but a lot of players are, take bogey on hole number 5.
James Proctor. And all the guys you've seen are on the same card, all 4. Oh, there it is. Crazy shot. Dang, that's a crazy shot.
Yeah, and I think that was actually a par save because where he threw the previous shot from, it took him 2 shots to get there. The guy was asking what a putt is. Anything inside 66 feet is considered a putt. Otherwise, it's a throw.
66?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that includes round 2 of the front 9. And these guys were the 4 guys who, what'd you call them? The main card, the card 1?
That was a lead card for the second round, yeah.
Lead card. Okay. Now we're going to go into, we're still in round 2, but we're going to do the back 9.
Okay.
Does that seem right to you?
Yeah, we should probably go to hole 12 and then whatever you want.
Okay, I got it. Let me get us there. You mind if I start on hole 2? Okay. So as we go into this into the back 9, that's holes 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Adam is 15 under par and Calvin is 16 under par. They're the 2 leaders in the tournament. One of the commentators does make some dumbass joke about how he would take Calvin to fight the aliens, and it reminded me of like when CrossFit commentators talk about who they would take in the zombie apocalypse. But what I mean, geeks are geeks. What are you gonna do? Hole 10, 405. Calvin looking unstoppable at 405. It is kind of interesting how they go through phases where they're just murdering it, right?
Yeah, and like I said, this course, half the holes are in the woods, half of them are in the open. So there's certain athletes that will excel on one half or the other of the course. And if you get hot in the woods here, like I said, really, apart from hole 12 and maybe 9, you could birdie the rest of the holes in the woods, like pretty realistically.
So that was off the tee right there, I think. And
that was the second shot.
Oh, that was the second shot. Okay, and you guys saw how close he got to the basket. Liz R. Brian Friend, do these professionals make more than CrossFit Games professionals?
Definitely not in competition winnings alone, but in terms of sponsorships and then yeah, the top guys I think are making more.
You,
But the top CrossFit Games salaries are not really that well known or advertised. But in disc golf, like I mentioned earlier, the biggest contracts are public.
what did you say? He did a 6-year, $6 million, or 10-year, $10 million?
10-year, $10 million, and then the second ranked player, Ricky Wysocki, the following year signed a 4-year, $4 million deal with a different company.
Holy shit! Did you see on the side there? Andrew Hiller did an Unsporty Beth video, or another Sporty Beth video. Oh shit! Talk about peeling off a scab. It's yeah. Did you see? Oh, okay. Caleb's not gonna let us get distracted. Yeah, that. What is that? Should we watch that right now? I'm just joking, Brian. I'm joking. Okay, listen. Brian, do you think that Rich Froning's contract with Reebok was 10 years, 10 million?
I don't know.
Do you think that Mal O'Brien's contract with Noble is 6 years, 6 million?
I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. If you had to choose one way or another, do you think that either of them? Do you think that anyone's had a multi-year, multi-million? Do you think anyone's had like a 1-to-1 ratio of years to millions of dollars in the CrossFit space?
I would say yes.
Yeah, okay, me too. That would be my guess too, which is just crazy to say. Do these guys, the BJJ guys, Brian, have like DVDs they sell? Like Gordon Ryan's like rich off of selling like how to fucking choke a guy out, and Matt Fraser's rich off of selling like how to do a thruster. Do these guys have shit like that?
I mean, some of them do tutorials, but
You buy any of them? You ever bought like a $90 fucking 3-hour tutorial from one of these guys?
no.
And if anyone would have, it would have been you if they had it.
I don't know. For some reason, I'm like stubborn in that regard. Like
Cheap? You mean cheap? Frugal?
no, because you could go watch them free on YouTube, but like how to throw a forehand, how to throw a backhand. But I've just always liked to figure it out myself, I guess.
Patrick Clark, yes. He thinks yes. And Fraser with Nike. I bet you Nike's cheap. I bet you Nike is cheap. Cash and product sponsorship is low 7 figures, Sevan. Product? Who the fuck wants product? I bet you one CrossFitters. I bet the top CrossFitters make more, but more disc golfers can self-sustain from sponsors. The prize money for these are like for this is like $35,000 for first place, right?
Less.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I think I saw 7,500 for the winner on this one.
Okay.
It might be like 35,000 total in the purse or something.
So most of these guys have day jobs.
Most of them are grinding it out on the tour.
Or they live at home with their parents. That's what I'd do.
No, they live in the van with their friends and drive around to the tournaments.
Oh, fair. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right, that's cool. And they said this tournament was pretty crowded. A lot of people there.
Yeah.
Fraser made $1 million with his incentives and bonuses. Shit, he should. He fucking won every game. Okay. The guys love this course. Popular course among the athletes. Like I said, Adam Hammes is negative 15 under. Calvin Heimberg is in first place going into the back 9. Hole 10, Calvin looking unstoppable. We looked at that second throw. 435. Hammes and Nico make a couple great Hammes make some great putts.
Do you see Wad Zombie's comment?
No. I'm gonna make a Nico card with him squaring up on the referee. Oh shit! Wow. That's good. Mike McCaskey, top 20 prize earners in disc golf, earns $61,000 on average during the 2022 season. All right, let's check it. Let's a couple great putts here. Game moves pretty fast. I know I was watching the condensed versions, but it still seems like it moves pretty fast.
It can. There's occasionally backup on the course. That happened in this tournament on the last round where they got to hole 9 and they basically had a 30-minute wait, which kind of sucks. But apart from that, yeah, you know, even at the pro tour with the best players, you're usually getting through a round in 2 to 2.5 hours.
Oh shit, we missed Adams. Adams was right before Nico's. Can you go back before 435? Maybe go 420. We'll check out Adams. Here he is. Yeah.
It's a tough putt because on the other side of the basket, there's nothing there. So if you miss this, it's gonna just as far coming back uphill the other way.
Can you imagine your sport is played in a place where like other people like see is like where you dump old mattresses and refrigerators? Like that looks like a spot where you back your pickup truck, lower the tailgate, and then floor it, and all your shit flies off, and you take off and drink beer with your friends the rest of the day. You get someone pays you $300 to take their shit to the dump, and you keep the money and just dump it there. But nope, that's where they play professional frisbee golf. Alrighty, say so. Hole 11. Commentators still loving on Calvin Heimberg, and at 6:45, our boy Adam misses a pretty key putt. 6:45. Oh, this is Nico. Sorry, this is Nico in the woods.
Yeah, he's just laying up. He's got no look at it there. This is Hamas, and he misses this putt short, which is, again, it's a very similar to that last putt that he had. Behind him is a very steep drop off into some pretty thick woods, where if he misses this long left or right, he's probably 50-50 to make the one coming back at best. So it's not surprising that he misses this a little bit low.
Is this fucking true? Hal Roberts says Nico's a kindergarten teacher for his day job. Dude, are you kidding me? Someone fact check Hal Roberts, please.
Not true.
It's the way Sevan is talking like I'm an expert in everything. Like he's an expert in this and knows the players. Dude, I watched 3 hours this week and 3 hours last week. What's more than I've talked to my wife in the fucking last 3 years. I'm an expert. Okay. So Adams misses that putt. We go to hole 12. And at 8:25, Vinny hits a tree, causing him to the inevitable bogey. Oh, first we'll check out James Proctor. Here we go.
And it's awesome having James Proctor on tour this year. He's one of the highest rated disc golfers in the world, probably top 10 rating. But in the last couple of years, he's only played a few events. This year, he's supposed to be playing in all the events, and he's already had 2 top 10 finishes, I believe. So he's definitely a relevant player this season that wasn't around for every tournament last year.
Okay, here we go. I don't know if you can see it because it's kind of an ass shot, but he hits a tree, and this is no bueno.
No, this is a really bad. This is the hardest hole on the course to begin with. All you need to do is get around that corner, and he's about 5 feet off the mark. So he's way out of position, way back on the hardest hole on the course. And this hole on its own cost Calvin this tournament.
Look at it. It's the big tree that's just off center on the right. Thank you. Where Caleb has the arrow. Yeah, he fucking doinks that thing.
In the entire tournament, which is 3 rounds, he had 3 bogeys and a double bogey. Everything else was par or birdie.
Crazy.
2 of those bogeys were on this hole, and the double bogey was on this hole.
Damn. Oh, wow.
So if it's
this
5
is not
strokes
his hole.
over par for the entire tournament, 4 of them were on this hole.
Wow. This is the worst hole he's ever had in his life.
It's like not being able to do one specific movement at the CrossFit Games that costs you the championship.
I like that. No, you know your audience. Hey, do people ever just lose discs? Like it's gone? Like they don't know where it went? Like it
happened to me one time.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about like pros. Like
yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a hole across the street from my house in a field, and I can go out there and find discs that people lost.
Yeah.
But in the pros, do they ever throw one up in the trees and it just gets stuck up there? It doesn't come down, or?
Yeah. And in certain tournaments, there's something called the 2-meter rule, where if it gets stuck in a tree that's above 2 meters off the ground, it's a penalty stroke.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. California has that rule, usually.
Wow. Okay. And I guess if they go in the water, do these things float or they sink?
Depends. Usually sink. At tournaments like this, like the tournament will like dredge the ponds or something and get the discs out, and you can collect them later. But if it's like in a lake or a river that's flowing, like it just might be gone right away.
Fair. Hole 13. Adam and Calvin are tied as we go into hole 13. Calvin loses a point lost a point in the last hole to tie them at 16 under par. And here we look at 1425. Calvin needs to make this putt to take the lead. Here we go.
So back out in the Open here, hole 13 starts a stretch of 6 holes in the Open, and basically Calvin Heimberg is one of the farthest throwers on tour. So in the Open, he has an advantage, and especially on some of these short par 4s and long par 3s, he can get himself in positions that less than 5% of the field can get themselves in on a regular basis.
And he missed that putt.
He missed that putt, yeah.
And he needed that for a birdie.
He'd be bummed about missing that because he just came out of that hole that he bogeyed.
Hole 14, Proctor, Adam, and Calvin are all tied for 17 under. And at 1738, you can see where Adam and Proctor take a one-stroke lead and start to make some distance between themselves and Mr. Heimberg.
Yeah, and it's a pretty easy hole. All the guys that are contending for the win here are going to want to get this hole and hole 16. They'll want to get birdies on those holes because 15, 17, and 18 are pretty tough.
And I think the next shot here, we're going to see James Proctor. Careful, 7-second rule. Careful. There he is.
Yeah, just a little tap in there. His tee shot did all the work.
Oh, okay. Nice. And so that Heimberg loses a stroke.
Put in perspective, it's the length of a football field, this hole, just over 300 feet. So he threw it from 300 feet, winding through a couple trees in the fairway, and he's 7 feet away from the basket.
Yeah, brilliant shot. Hole 15, a 558 foot par 3.
Par 3, and there were 0 or 1 birdies on this hole in the entire tournament, and Calvin almost got one.
The commentators really like this hole. They say it's a great hole, but it's ridiculous that it's a par 3, crazy par 3.
So holes 15 and 16. Hole 15 is a par 3. Hole 16 is a par 4, and they both average 3.5 shots. So they probably should both be par 4s.
Right. And that was an interesting stat when they give that. Another thing they said is because it's a par 3, it's a boring hole.
Yeah, so to throw it's first of all, everything that's not green in that shot is out of bounds. So if you're too far right or too far left, it's out of bounds. To throw it 560 feet that straight is extremely challenging and difficult. And there's almost always a strong wind on this hole. If you have a tailwind, there's about, I would say 10% of the field that has a chance to actually throw it within 60 feet of the hole. But even then you have to make a difficult putt if you're going to get a birdie. So what almost everyone does is lay up to the widest part of the fairway there, which is like 200 feet short of the hole. So just throw a hyzer on the sidearm out over the road, let it drop back into the open part of the fairway, chip it up, take their 3 and move on. And that's probably what most people should be doing.
This is a great question. I trip on fingers in Frisbee. What kind of finger agility is required for this sport?
A little finger pop. Matt Oram says, yeah, if you're going to throw forehands well, you got to have a really dynamic wrist and finger flick for sure.
And for all those hyzers, thumb pressure, I don't know how it is with Frisbee golf disc, but the 175-pound ultimate Frisbee disc, thumb pressure controls the hook, controls a snap, controls the spin. My ring finger used to do a shitload of manipulating. When you let that thing go, you are basically telling it what to do. Whether maybe you want to even throw a boomerang shot with it. I don't think they ever. I don't know if they ever do that or why you would do that in Frisbee golf. But sometimes you throw a disc up and you want it to just come straight back to you. It's all crazy shit your fingers learn to do. It's really cool. Is it like that in I'm assuming disc golf's exactly the same. Your fingers tell it, give it its programming as your arm basically puts as much energy into it as it can.
Yeah, and like you talk about the thumb, there's some guys that hold it and they really press their thumb down on top to get a really firm grip like that, and other guys will grip it more like this. There's just a variety of different ways to do it.
Only the idiots grip it like that second way he said.
James Proctor does it like that.
The thumb. Well,
he's one of the 10 best in the world.
Come see me for some coaching, James. Hole 16. What's this note I have here? All birdies on this card. Oh, all the guys got birdies.
Yeah, so this is a hole that 100% you should be birdieing this hole. Like it is possible to get an eagle on it. It's pretty inexcusable to get anything worse than a par on this hole. But even if you take 4, you feel like you're losing a stroke to your competitors. And that's because it's not very much longer than the last one. It's more wide open, and you get an extra shot to get a par. So everyone's expecting a 3 on this hole.
Hole 17 was the first 2 holes where there was a headwind, but both in hole 17 and 18.
In round 2, but in round 3 they had opposite wind. Hole 17 and 18 this is hole 17. So this is an extremely difficult shot. Now, by the way, there is one guy that plays in this tournament that throws it from the tee over all the gray area on a direct line to the basket and puts it inside 30 feet. And he throws it like overhand throw. It's insane. The guy's name's Jared Stoll, Stoll. Maybe you can find a clip of it, Caleb. I'm not sure if there is one or not, but he missed
he does the tomahawk throw.
Yeah, but I mean, it's wild when you watch him do it. Like his back arches a lot, and he gets like this really, really. It hurts me to watch him. I can't really.
How tall is he?
Like that. He's over 6 feet for sure. But it's a really impressive shot. Almost everyone else is throwing either a far straight backhand hyzer shot over the road that's coming back and landing in the landing zone, or they're throwing a really difficult low backhand turnover that's doing the same thing. And if you do that well, then you're in position to attack that green, but everything in gray again is OB, and the green is a little bit unpredictable. Sometimes it skips hard and you go out of bounds right. Sometimes it catches edge if you land on the hill and rolls back out of bounds left into the water. And if you're good enough, you can put it close. But if you miss anything on the right side, you're still putting right straight back at OB. So this is a make or break hole on this course.
This is crazy. I didn't see these shots in the aggressive cuts that I saw. I just blew by them at 1.5 speed. This is crazy. I didn't know there was a hole like this.
Yeah, these drone shots are good for these holes because they're it's hard to tell from this. Like, this is the shot. This is Jared Stoll.
Wow. Holy shit, Caleb. Look at you. Look, both feet are off the ground, dude.
Watch this. This is insane. Straight over the top. You can see it there. It looks like a moon in the sky. And it comes down, and there it is bouncing by the bat. That's so ridiculous. I mean, no one is doing that, and this guy did it. And if he'd made that putt, he would have got an eagle, but he missed the putt, and it would have been like a very rare eagle.
Hey, that guy can hole in one that shot.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, this is that is ridiculous.
3 or 4 years ago, this was considered one of the toughest holes at the place, and now it's not considered a difficult hole. Adam went into this hole leading Calvin by 1 point with 20 under. And Adam is after that hole. Sorry.
Yeah, Adam and Calvin played the back nine here pretty similarly. Calvin took a bogey on 12 and Adam did not. They played every other hole the same.
I have no notes on hole 18. Is there anything you want to say about hole 18?
No, it was pretty drama-free in this round.
Okay. I want to thank Nico Lo Castro for that. That's just stuck in my brain. Okay, here we are going to. You see the link, Caleb? I forget what this is.
Yeah.
So the final round, and so the kind of trouble here is if you're trying to follow the tournament, is that there's so many guys in contention to win that they're not all on the same card. So on the lead card, we have still Adam Hammes and Calvin Heimberg, and those two players will be relevant. But you also have James Proctor and Matt Oram that they play pretty well, but they're just not good enough, and they fall out of contention. And in the meantime, there are these two other guys on Gatekeepers coverage, the chase card, Kyle Klein and Cole Redalin, that play some ridiculous rounds and put themselves in the mix against Adam and Calvin.
So if you guys don't remember from last week, Brian explained to us that there are two different film companies. I'm assuming that it's only a matter of time before one of them buys the other one, but there's two different. No,
there's way more than two.
There are?
Yeah, but these are the big two.
So there's two main film companies. One is always in charge of the main card, and then one's in charge of the chase card. And what Brian is saying is that the guys in the chase card were in contention. You know, it's crazy, Brian. What happens if there's a tie at the end? I can't believe it actually did. Well, maybe I shouldn't ruin the end. They will.
Yeah, and everyone thought this tournament was going to go to a playoff.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been surprising if there were 8 dudes.
Right.
Okay.
But pressure is a real thing, no matter how good you are, and you have to execute on this course.
Like that slide that Caleb showed, they usually open up these shows when it's the gate guys. They usually open up with a bag check. Putters, mids, and drivers. Are those the three?
Yeah, yeah.
Paul Macbeth is in the chase card, 6-time champion, and he has his shirt tucked in. He was the only guy with his shirt tucked in, as I mentioned.
6-time world champion, 2-time champion of this tournament. And he is who people consider to be the greatest of all time. Nate Sexton is this guy. He's one of the commentators for Jomez Pro. He doesn't play in very many tournaments, and this is 2 tournaments in a row that he's been in the top 10. So when he does play, he's still exceptionally good. That's Paul Macbeth right there in the blue.
Why doesn't he play in very many tournaments?
It's because he's got a family and he has a job with Disc Golf Pro Tour commentating, and good job with Jomez Pro commentating. So he doesn't like to travel on the tour with all the time. He can do those other jobs from remote locations sometimes.
I wonder what would have happened if he would have been on card 1, since he had to commentate. Oh, like last week, I guess he did that. He has to commentate his own stuff.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Okay. Yeah. We'll go to hole 1. I don't think you can see the bucket from the tee. 12:30. Nate Sexton hits the stand and it bounces way off.
Well, this is not hole 1 anymore, which is okay.
Oh, it isn't? I screwed that up.
Yeah, but that's fine. This is hole 3.
Good job. That was a test, everyone. I knew it wasn't hole 1. I was just testing.
And if you look at the bottom down there, Nate Sexton, birdie on 1 and 2. Paul Macbeth, birdie on 1 and 2. Kyle Klein, birdie on 1 and 2. Cole Redalin, birdie bogey. So he gives away 2 shots to his card and one of the easier holes on the course on hole 2.
I'm checking my notes to make sure I didn't screw this up. Oh, I did screw it up. Okay. What hole was this again? Hole 3?
Yeah, this is hole 3. Nate Sexton is one of the best forehand players of all time as well, similar to Kyle Klein. And on this course, honestly, if you don't have a great forehand, it's pretty difficult to compete.
Did we see where that went, Caleb? Did that hit the basket? Did it hit the stand? Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Like, it's a terrible reaction. He rolls to outside of the circle, and it's not so great from there.
Yeah, kind of crazy. A brilliant throw, but not such a brilliant finish to it. And then 14-15, Nate misses and Macbeth misses. They both missed their opportunity at eagle shots.
Birdies.
Eagles?
These are putts for 2 on a par 3, so they would be a birdie if they make them.
Well, shit.
This is so he got that tough reaction, and then he missed the putt. So now he's hoping to make the comebacker for a par, and that's how close it can be,
And here's Paul Macbeth, the greatest player alive today, shirt tucked in. I don't know why. Needs to make this shot. And if you look down there, we got Kyle Klein, and we haven't talked about him yet. But that's the 18-year-old kid, right?
No, Kyle's like 21 or 2. Cole Redalin is only 16.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah. Wow. What's funny is some of these guys are so fucking skinny, like young men, but they still have baby fat on their face. It's nuts. It's nuts. Cole Redalin is 16?
And he is incredibly good. I mean, what he does in the final round here, but when we get to the end of the tournament, you have to look at his scorecard. It's insane.
Okay. So remember this. That's not good for Paul Macbeth or Nate that they missed this chance at birdies here. There was an advertisement for a bag that's called what is it? The Mojo bag? The Mazzola bag?
Is it the one that has the stand that just kicks down? You carry it as a backpack, and then it just automatically moves into a stand.
Yeah.
Yes, that's new of this year, and it looks very practical to me.
Yeah. Do any of the guys use that on the tour?
Not sure. I'm sure that they've got someone that's using it, but not any of these big time players. Because they probably already all have deals with the other bag making companies. But maybe when one of those expire, they'll switch over.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool bag. Okay, hole 4, 1845. Macbeth looking demoralized at 1845.
And I'll say this about
that a
Macbeth.
word, demoralized?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can run the clip here, but he is one of the best. He also has just incredibly high expectations for himself, and he definitely takes some heat over time of being a little bit too animated or emotional on the course. But he had nothing here. He couldn't. There was no chance for him to make the putt, so he just threw this little lazy chip shot out there and took the par and got off the hole.
The commentators were saying that he was even rushing his shots, that he didn't seem like himself, like he didn't want to be out there.
I would say that in the last 4 holes that was definitely the case, but and maybe a specific shot like this. But no, I think through hole 11 or 12, he still thought he had a chance to win.
Hole 5, Paul McBeth has a hole-in-one opportunity, 2050. Hopefully, I gave that time code right.
It's yeah. So this.
And you can see where the guy is down there. That's McBeth, and then you saw the basket just straight down the pipe. Looks like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, so it's pretty. You want this disc to just move slowly to the right. I don't think is that the hole-in-one opportunity you're talking about? I don't think so.
That was it. Look I mean, there he is. I can see him and I can see the basket. That's a hole-in-one opportunity, right?
I guess.
Hole 6, 2310. Nate Sexton also has a chance for a hole-in-one at 2310.
This is a legitimate chance for a hole-in-one. So this is a forehand. This is a shot shaping hole we were talking about. You just want it to move left to right. Goes about half the way straight and then starts moving to the right. He gets a nice skip here. Hits chains hard. If we had the audio, you could hear it. And then it skips about 12 feet past. Like that could. The thing about a shot like this is it could go in. It could hit the basket and stop relatively close to the basket like this one does. But if it misses the basket altogether, it could go 35, 40 feet in those woods, and then you're going to take a par. So
that was cool.
But it was cool. I thought it was going to go. I mean, it looked like it could have gone in.
For me, that's the closest I've ever seen to a hole-in-one. A guy throw off the tee and hit the chains. Pretty cool. 3110, hole 8. Paul McBeth finding his groove, and drilling this putt right here.
Then you're gonna skittle on down that hill and probably be behind some bushes.
Yeah, so this is one of the
That's
shorter,
not Paul McBeth, by the way.
No, this is Colder Down. This is one of the shorter holes on the course. All of the guys are hoping to birdie this hole and planning on birdieing it. And you see Cole goes a little bit deep there, but that's well within a makeable range. McBeth throws what you just have to say is a bad tee shot. It hits a tree.
You remember
and he kicks
this?
Down, and he's only halfway to the basket. So this is terrible situation. Like you said, he's already a little bit demoralized. If you look on the bottom there, Corradallen's made several birdies in a row. Kyle Klein's made like 5 out of 6 holes birdies in a row. And McBeth's not playing bad, but he's given some easy shots away.
Sorry, Caleb. 3110 is where McBeth finds his groove and nails the putt. Oh, so may have to rewind it just a little bit more. Maybe I screwed that up. Or was that McBeth who threw that? Oh, here we go. He doesn't make this, does he? Is this the 60-footer he makes?
Mm-hmm. Yep, dead center. And that's what last week we were saying. Someone was making a joke during last tournament and saying, when this guy retires, someone just needs to make a YouTube video of 2 hours worth of him making putts like this, because they're out there. Like, he makes putts from 40 to 70 feet. It's insane. And sometimes they are like extremely high pressure, big moment putts, and he knocks them down.
And this is what's crazy too, because you see a lot of guys who have that look at baskets that don't take it. So that was the first time in the tournament that I was watching where I'm like, oh shit, a guy's really going for it, because a lot of times they just play it safe, and you can tell because it just drops short of the basket, right?
Yeah, and in the wooded holes, there's a lot of steep drop-offs behind the baskets or thick woods or the river, so it's pretty risky to run it. Like, if he airballs that, he probably, it's questionable if he makes the one coming back. But McBeth is the most aggressive player in the field. Like, he goes for more shots than anyone else will. And when it comes down the stretch of tournaments, he doesn't care, because he's not chasing paychecks like these other guys. He's chasing wins. So he doesn't care if he finishes 12th or 2nd. If it's not first, it's not good enough, is his approach.
Wow. 35-30, hole 9. I wonder how that affects his his performance overall, because he, if you take second place in every tournament for the year, you still win the.
Yeah, I actually think that it's a bad strategy of his because, for example, in this tournament, on the last 4 holes of the tournament, he was like he had to make a move if he wanted to win. But as a result of that, he shot 3 over par on those holes where everyone else is shooting like 1 or 2 under par. So he's giving away 4 shots and like 6 positions, which doesn't only cost him money, but it costs him points. And at the end of the year, last year, he lost the Tour Points Championship by 1 shot to his rival, Ricky Wysocki. And you think back to moments like this, and you're like, well, dude, if you had just played those holes like intelligently and taken a 5th instead of a 12th, you might have been the Tour champion last year.
He's just in it for the girls. Dick Butter, fair assessment. Rich Holton, do they test for PEDs? Bro, half these guys are have a fucking anorexic eating disorder. We test for PEDs. What are you talking about? Yeah. The 35-30 hole 9. We visit Mr. Klein, Kyle Klein.
And this is actually potentially the most critical hole of the tournament for Kyle Klein. You have to go down to someone who is.
This is not Kyle Klein. This is Paul Macbeth. Is this 35-30? Oh, sorry, it must be after that. Sorry, because it's a putt. It's a putt. So it must be after. Maybe it's 36-30. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
So all of the other players that are contending for the lead took par on this hole, and a couple of them took bogey. But in the meantime, Kyle Klein plays it perfectly, and of the top 17 players in the tournament, gets the only birdie, which I think the commentators even discuss it as it's happening, and saying like that can be a really critical stroke when everything's said and done.
Let's see. This is the 16-year-old kid, Cole Redalen. Maybe. Let's see if Klein's after this Cat.
Yeah, this is Kyle Klein right here.
Okay. Incredible shot here. Tree blocking the basket. Couple trees. Boom.
Yep. And he just makes it look easy. And Kyle Klein is his young kid from Michigan. He's only 21 or 22 years old. He's won some on the pro tour already, though. And he's one of the 10 best guys in the world at a very young age. I mean, he's really good.
Okay, shit. We're on a roll. Next video as we go into the back 9.
No, we
Round
should
2?
show the front 9 of the lead card.
Oh, okay. Is that where we're at? Let's see.
Yeah, he's got it here because there's some incredible shots on this 9. We can watch as much as you have notes for, but there are shots on holes 6 and 8 that are must watch.
Okay. I'll get us up to okay, yeah. I got good notes on 6 and 8. Okay. At this point, the commentators are letting me know what Brian told me before I started watching, that this is the closest tournament in the history, maybe, of Frisbee golf, meaning that there's so many guys piling up.
Of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, which officially started in 2016.
Okay. And for those of you, that means that there's so many guys piling up who are tied for first, second, third, 4th, 5th place, shit like that. I think at one point they were saying there was like a 16-way tie for second place or something crazy like that. Wind is usually a factor on this course. We go to hole 1. By the way, that's Sexton in the middle there, Nate Sexton. We've seen him throw a bunch. Looks a little sunburned. Hole 1, 446. Look at this approach. This was the first time I had seen this, and I only saw this once. This guy not only starts off the pad, but enters the pad from the side. None of the other guys on the hole did this. This is Adam Hamas.
Yeah, he did that same run up every time. And this is a very common line, just this spike hyzer into the green. It's going to basically just land vertical and hopefully stick. And even if it rolls down to the other side of the basket, there's a wall there that'll catch most of the discs. So
I don't like that change of footing. I don't like that.
There just must be a line there that suits his eye, because he does it every round. And like you said, he's the only one that's approaching it from the side like that.
Is Brian competitive in disc golf?
Not really.
He wants to say he is, but yeah, I could tell.
Hey,
I understand.
I did take 3rd place in an intermediate division of a tournament last fall.
See, I told you he wanted to say he was, but he's a man of the truth. 613. Calvin making
my disc golf trophy.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Is that Orem? Who's that?
That's Matty Orem. Yeah.
We'll talk about Orem in a minute. Let's go to 613 if we can. And that's it. Okay, keep playing. Let's see. Calvin goes for a 50-foot putt. Let's see if he can pull it off. Calvin Heimberg.
Matty O, perfect shot straight down the middle, 10 feet away.
You're going to probably... Okay, here he is. You may need to pause this so we don't get more than 7 seconds. Calvin Heimberg going for a 50-footer.
Yeah, so tee shot came up way short here. And as you've been saying, this is a hole that everyone is wanting to get birdie on. So if you miss like that, you really feel like you're giving one away early to start this round.
Now, can you play that one more time, Caleb? That is like the worst. That is like painful. That hurts your soul. Right off, I don't know what they call that, but the lip of the basket.
Off the lip of the basket, off the chains. And I mean, it could go in, it could go out. It's better than some other misses you could have.
Sure.
But it's also about as close as it can get and not going in.
Sure. As we go into hole 2, Adam is 21 under, Proctor under 20, and Calvin 19 under, first, second, third place. Hole 2, right off the tee, Adam hits a tree. No bueno. We go to hole 3 at the 12-minute mark, and Matt Orem enters the picture.
Yeah. So straight shot with a finish on the left here, and it basically just curls up right next to the basket. And like I said, this is a hole all of these guys are planning to get, and Matty O certainly did.
And Orem's respectable, top cat.
Matt Orem, I think, is the 5th or 6th rated in the world right now, and he's been relevant at big tournaments since 2005 when he was a young man and showed up on the lead card of the World Championships wearing a Derek Jeter jersey. He's a big Alabama and a Nick Saban fan. So anytime he throws a good shot, he'll just be like, first down.
Who's Nick Saban?
The coach of Alabama's football team. And he may or may not have him on speed dial. I'm not sure.
1250, Adam hits the tree again.
Yeah, Adam getting off to actually a pretty rough start here. You can see his... He took a par on hole 2, which is a pretty easy hole. He has this tee shot on 3 that he just pulls a little bit, hits a tree. So he didn't. Everyone else is parking this hole like Matty O did, and he's just got to accept another par.
Mason Mitchell, come on, Sevan. You know it's crazy. For years, I don't know any stuff like that. I just know the only coach I know is Sandusky, and but it's crazy because people would be like, how he's the worst sports journalist ever. And I'd be like, you're absolutely right. I am proudly the worst sports journalist ever. Thank you. Okay. 13-15, Proctor misses a must shot.
I mean, this,
sorry. Let me rephrase that. Proctor really needs to make this. Let's see if he makes it. 13-15. This is a real nail biter here, people. He has to make this. 13-15. James
Proctor's he's tied for first in the tournament right here. He's, like I said, one of the best guys in the world. The wind just elevates it a little bit. It skips off the top. And when the flag's on top of the basket like that and they miss high for the pros, a lot of times they hit the flag stick and above the basket, so they stay close. This one hits off the top and ramps off, and he's actually got a longer putt coming back, which he also misses. And he goes from taking a birdie and staying in a tie for the lead to taking a bogey and falling out of the lead, and he was never able to get back into the tournament after that.
Brian, it's an aggressive throw.
His throw?
Yeah, he's
be so shocked if you saw these guys putt live. They putt hard.
Yeah, this is really aggressive. This isn't like a...
Occasionally, in certain situations, they'll throw a putt that kind of approaches the basket high and soft and stalling out and slow because they know it's really dangerous, but their chances of making that are low because the angle that you're approaching the basket has to be extremely exact. So these guys, especially if they're inside the 33-foot circle, they are putting it very hard with a very specific line and basically trying to hit the chains going full speed, and then they catch the disc and fall in the basket.
He postures with a 3/4 granny shot, like he might just go for like an an arc shot, but then he releases it and it's not an arc shot. Oh, we got another angle. Oh no, look it right. So it's like a 3/4 granny shot, and then he just fucking zips it, and he's aggressive. Like he wants this.
Mm-hmm.
He's going for it.
Yeah, and you see about halfway there, the disc just lifts a couple inches, and that's it. it looks like it's a tailwind, so it really shouldn't lift. But if you get because it's elevated basket and the nose wind is up, angles up just a little bit, that the wind got under it and pushed the disc too high by 6 inches, and it basically cost him a chance at the tournament.
Let's watch the women's field and look for the hot chicks. Fucking great idea. Hey, I'm reading this book on polio, and I think the guy who invented, I'm trying to remember the guy's name who invented the polio vaccine, but I think maybe his name is Saban too. A hole 4 going into, someone's going to correct me now in the comments. Good. Fuck you. Hole 4 going to Orem, Calvin, Proctor, tied 3-way. Okay. 16-10. You're never going to believe this going into hole 4. Guess what Adam hits for a third time in 3 fucking holes? Adam Hamas. Here we go. Hole 4, 16-10, off the tee.
And this is not the miss that you want to have on this hole. There's that one tree in the middle of the fairway that sometimes you hit and you kind of live with it. But when you're missing early left here, it can be completely death, jail, the jungle, like those guys are saying. He actually gets a decent rollout where he has a chance to save a par on this hole. So as bad of a shot as that was, he got a pretty good break.
Oh, it's Giannis Salk who invented the polio vaccine. All right, my bad. I can't wait to tell you about this book. Can you play that one more time? I didn't even see it right there. Hit the tree. Did you guys?
It's hard to see. But it's going to hit the left side.
Do you see it, Caleb? Can you circle your, put your arrow? Right over there. Okay.
Yeah. It's like this kind of white tree right here.
I guess it's a testament to how good these guys are, because it's some of the worst play I've seen in the 2 weeks that I've been following this sport, and yet this guy's still fucking kicking ass. So it's a testament.
Well, I mean, at this point, he's not kicking ass. At this point, he's falling behind the pace. But like I said, there's a couple shots coming up that get him right back in the mix.
And our buddy James Proctor at 1730 going for a very tough putt. Let's see if he gets it. That was Mr. Hamas. Here he is. Here's Proctor.
So he's got to step out from around the tree. He's going to try to put on a little Anheuser angle and misses it and gets a terrible reaction and basically rolls into the river.
Yeah, can you believe that shit? Off the chains.
Off the basket.
It was off the basket?
Yeah, just hit the top lip of the basket. So this is missing going in. He just took a bogey on a bad 3-putt. And now he's got this, which is a pretty good, well-played hole, chance to get that stroke back. Instead, it takes the worst reaction really possible here and bounces into the river. And now his tournament is completely done in terms of winning.
Look at this shit. Daniel Garrity, Sevan Sevi. Thank you. Saban invented the live vaccine. Salk invented the inactivated vaccine. Thank you. Thank you. Damn, I'm good.
And this guy's got a pretty cool picture in the avatar, too.
Yeah. God, I'm good.
Probably second best to extra sloppy, though.
Hole 5. At this point is when the commentators say that there's a 16-way tie for second place. Absolutely nuts. Hole 5, Calvin Heimberg is winning in the lead card, 2055. I think this is, I forget, I don't have the guy's name whose putt this is, but we need to take a look at this putt. I apologize.
It's Proctor again.
Yeah, tough putt.
Nothing's going his way at this point.
Off the chains, dude.
Yeah. So
chains.
Three decent putts and 3 bad results on 3 holes in a row for Proctor.
Jeff, wait till you find out this story about what happened with polio. I got to tell you guys this. Any fucking person who has kids who is thinking about putting anything in your kids, you better read this book, The Moth and the Iron Lung. You better fucking read this book. Holy shit. And if you know any farmers from 1890 to 1950, have a talk with them and find out what they were spraying on your fruits and vegetables. You will fucking trip. It's not rocket science, people. It's 3-year-old reading. It's a great book. We just relived it again with COVID. I can't even believe they did the same thing with polio. It's fucking absolutely
10-year-old
nuts.
reading. Probably.
Yeah, 10-year-old reading. Yeah, 10-year-old reading. 3rd grade math. Thank you, Brian. Okay, Calvin, tough miss for Proctor. Hole 6, Calvin Heimberg has now had 4 consecutive birdies. And he's on a roll. This is the guy I told you about in the beginning that they want to say is the best, but we're not sure if he's the best yet, right, Brian?
He's got to prove that he can win. He got the win last week, so we'll see.
Okay, 23-20. Oh, okay, yeah. Let's take a look. I don't even know where you found this at, but here we are, Calvin Heimberg. I didn't see where the disc went. Oh, okay. Caleb just pulling up his own clips. Oh no, that was 23-20. Oh, that should have been Adam Hamas. Keep going. This is Adam Hamas goes for a 60-footer here. Here we go. And
people. Look at Hamas' scorecard. Birdie, 4 pars. He's falling behind. He's tied for 11th. He needed that. Like, he needed something to happen, and this is a really good putt at a critical moment for him.
I want to show you. Okay, if let's look at that one more time. This is the guy who we saw hit 3 trees in a row,
and he actually hit a tree on this hole also to end up this short of the basket. So his tee shots have been bad, but he hasn't given any bogeys away. He's just been weathering the storm, and he needs to make something happen.
You never see these guys run. These guys are like praying mantis. They don't run. Look at him. He runs. There he is. Praying mantis running. Crazy. Great job with the 60-footer for Adam Hamas. 2350. Proctor is the commentators say that Proctor is in a situation where he cannot make this shot. 2350. Let's see if they're correct.
I mean, yeah, this is a great.
There he is.
He's not far from the basket. And after all these tough misses, he gets into maybe the most unlikely, and he makes it.
Beautiful shot. Congratulations, James. Hole 7, 26-20. Matt Oram has a chance to prove to us what Brian shared with us earlier, that he's the 5th ranked player, best Frisbee golfer in the world.
Yeah, very similar to the shot we saw from Nico on the previous round. Just very well shaped, and there he is doing his little first down celebration. Roll Tide. That's what he would say.
Hey, we should play that video where that guy steps up to the ref every show. It's just crazy too, because it looks like the 2 least likely dudes to fight. Nico looks like he's on meth, and that other guy just looks like he just wants to serve beer at what's that thing they do in Germany? Oktoberfest. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck is going on there? Okay, so Matt Oram, great shot. I think that was this hole 7. Is that the staircase hole?
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful shot. Tough shot. Hole 8. This was the hole. Brian has some important things to share with us here. 29 minutes. We have Adam. This is the guy who hit 3 trees in a row, and then we saw him make that 60-footer, and then we saw him do the craziest thing ever, a Frisbee golfer actually jog. But here we are, hole 8. Adam Hamas.
Turn the volume on, Caleb.
Still coming in kind of hot. Wait, what was that?
Kind of hot on the stripe.
The A's.
Crazy. They actually show an instant replay of this too, Caleb.
Yeah, they have a catch cam on the basket.
Still coming in kind of hot. Wait, what was that?
Kind of hot on the stripe.
The A's.
Is that in the basket?
Yes, Adam Hamas with the ace.
So, I mean, you can make a hole-in-one in disc golf. I have made one hole-in-one in not in a tournament round or anything, but to make it in the final round of a tournament when you need it, I mean, this is like game-changing for him.
Hey, dude, and it takes that fucked up bounce off the lip.
Yeah, well, this just hits the chains pure, coming in at the right angle. I mean, it was never really going to miss. This is dead center. But
isn't that line show that it hits the lip of the basket?
Oh, it bounces off the lip and up and in, I guess. Maybe that's what.
I mean, that's what the line says.
Yeah, the follow flight. Yeah, so that's cool. But this was, I don't think he was trying to ace this. I think he overthrew it. That's what the commentators say. Yeah.
Oh, it does look like it's straight in, but the line does show the bounce. Interesting.
And yeah, it is awesome.
Brian doesn't have time for please. Brian can. Okay. Incredible shot. What hole was that? That was hole 8.
Hole 8.
Another interesting point. This is the second hole in one, what they call the ace, on this hole in this tournament. So it's earlier in the day, someone else drilled this one too. 3050, Calvin Heimberg also tries to make a statement on this hole. Calvin Heimberg. Here he is.
And this is more traditional. He's threw a upshot to within 15 feet, knocks it in, takes the birdie, and moves on. But Hammes picking up a stroke, so maybe 2 on all of his closest competitors with the ace there.
Okay, and that was the wrong shot. I gave you the wrong time code, but it's okay. Anything else you wanted to say on hole 8? Hole 8 was an important hole.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see an ace on lead card in the final round of a Pro Tour event that often. So pretty rare moment there.
Yeah, Dick Butter. Yeah, totally. And I saw his chick like came over and rubbed his chest or something. I think someone's getting ass. Someone's getting getting laid tonight. Yeah, that's for sure. That's always the hole in one. 30, 50. Okay, we did it. Hole 9, Calvin. And going into hole 9, Heimberg, Vinny, Calvin, Heimberg, and Orem are tied for first place with 25 under par. We go to hole 10. This is now the back
9.
And they had some camera difficulties here, which is interesting because I didn't even notice. They did a great job, but they basically told us that they normally do these shoots with 3 cameras. They got one like at the with the thrower, and then one where he's throwing it to, and then they usually have a reaction cam which catches the thrower's face. And they didn't have that. They had some corrupt cards, so we'll have to deal with a shoddy production. But they still fucking killed it. These guys do a great job. I noticed that last week too. This production crew is great.
Do you have a link for that one at all?
No, there's nothing. Hole 11. Did you have anything for hole 10, Brian?
No. Are we doing a chase card or lead card here?
I don't know.
Okay,
whatever one Adam and Orem are on.
Yeah, lead card. Okay.
Hole 11, Adam and Orem. Oh, yeah, we'll do the chase card. I have the chase card last. Hole 11, Adam, Orem, and Calvin all birdie. Proctor is out of contention in hole 11 with 21 under. And now we get to hole 12. Every shot here is now becoming vital. The game has begun, and Calvin is up at the T835. Heimberg, hole 12.
And remember, this is the hole that has been giving him trouble. Bogey in round 1, bogey in round 2.
I don't have a link for that. Is it the same one?
Okay. Well, that is absolutely my fault. Give me 1 second, and I will send it over to you.
But this is the hole that we saw in round 2 where Calvin threw the forehand that got cut off early on the right, hit a tree, and he was way out of position. And basically, he does the exact same thing in the final round. And it's just, honestly, if you're a Calvin Heimberg fan, it's pretty disappointing because it's like he is playing the best. He is playing the best, most consistent golf in the world right now. He is playing the best on this tournament, with the exception of this one hole. And when you're watching the back 9, I was thinking to myself, because Calvin's playing great, if he can just get out of this hole with a par, he's going to win this tournament. And then he hits the tree right off the bat.
This may not be it, man. This may not, what am I looking for? Final back 9, Hames, Hamburg, Orem.
Tell me if this is it. This is it.
Oh, this might be it. Yes, this might be it.
Yeah.
And go to so let me set this up again. Okay, hole 12. We just found out that Proctor's pretty much out of contention, and that we basically have a race. Just looking at the main card between Adam, Orem, and Heimberg, Calvin, and Calvin's up hole 12 at 8:35, and he's got to make this shot. Too bad this isn't him. I gave you the wrong time code.
But this is he does throw the right shot. This is Calvin. He hit that tree on the right in round 2, and he hits the same tree in round 3. Kicks off to the left, and I'm just like, my God, this one shot, and he's got a good forehand. Like, there's no reason he should be missing this shot every round, but he did.
So that is bad, people. That is really bad for Calvin. Let's go to 940 and look at Calvin's next shot and see how he recuperates. 940, Calvin Heimberg. I'm watching this so fast. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Caleb, for finding that.
This is actually his third shot now, so he had to just pitch out, and then he throws this up shot around the corner, which is a decent shot, but it still leaves him way back of the pin. So it's, he can't even, it's very unlikely that he can even make a par at this point.
The reason why I wanted to show that other shot, the shot before his third shot, is I think he actually throws it out of bounds.
Oh, well, he ends up taking a double bogey on the hole, so very possible, yeah.
Yeah, horrible. He gets a double bogey, and Adam gets a birdie.
Yeah, and like I said, hole 12 was the hardest hole on the course. And actually, Adam Hammes is one of a couple of guys in contention that birdies it. Most everyone's taking par. A couple of guys take bogey, but there are not a lot of double bogeys on this hole, so this is a pretty bad score for Calvin.
Riveting, yes, riveting. I'm telling you, it is riveting. Okay, let's. So Calvin misses. Did we play 11:05?
No. This is 10:45, 10:50 though.
Let's see.
11:05.
Okay, let's see. Let's see this one.
Misses.
Right. Okay. So sorry. So Calvin Heimberg throws go ahead, Brian. Go ahead, throw it.
I think this was his fourth shot for par, and it goes off the top to a pretty tough spot on the backside. It'll show you on the bottom that was his fourth throw. Misses it, and like that thing that happened with Proctor, if it hits the flag, which it could definitely hit, he could just stop right there. But he gets a ramp off the top, goes like 30 feet long, and now he's got that coming back for bogey, which he also misses.
I can't believe they don't hit the cameraman more, because the cameraman has to be in direct line of the shot.
Yes, the cameramen are pretty good. They do this a lot.
I've seen them dodging a few times.
And then 10:50. Did we play that already? Where we showed Adam Hammes get the birdie?
It's not 10:50 because that was just 10:50.
Oh, okay, that figures.
Probably the next shot though. Oh.
That's Proctor.
There's Hammes. Yeah,
there's Hammes making an incredible shot. What is that? 35 feet.
Yeah, he looks like he's just at the edge of the circle there. So it's like 35 foot, exactly right. And knocks it in and makes it look pretty easy. And at this point in the round, he's feeling good. He's coming off that long putt on 6, that eagle on 8. He'd parred 9, birdied 10, birdied 11, birdies 12 here. So he had one of those really, really great stretches in the woods. He actually played 6 through 12, making a birdie equivalent of birdie on every hole.
And then at 11:05, Calvin misses bat again. It was a 3-stroke swing in the hole. Damn.
Yeah. And so that makes 4 over par for Calvin on this one hole. And it's like I said earlier, it would end up being the kryptonite form of this course.
A 4 over par or 2 over par? Isn't 2 over par double bogey?
Bogey in round 1, bogey in round 2, double bogey in round 3. 4 over.
Gotcha. Take us. Well, we start hole 13. Calvin is 25 under, Orem is 26 under, and Adam is 28 under in first place. Then we go to hole 14. Calvin is 2 back from Adam. 17-15. Calvin goes for it on a big putt. Let's see if he makes it or misses it. 17-15. Calvin Heimberg, hole 14.
And it's getting, Calvin's back outside where he likes to be. And he's made a birdie on 13. So this is for another birdie on 14. So he's, still has a chance to make a run. But we know that hole 15 is nearly impossible to birdie. No one has birdied it. So he's going to have to birdie 16, 17, 18 if he wants to have any chance.
And good for Calvin. Right after Calvin, Adam goes for a birdie himself. We'll see it here. Oh no, that's here.
Yeah, and Adam's, Adam comes out of the woods having made birdie, eagle, the ace, par, birdie, birdie, birdie. So he has 6 under through 6 holes. Then he comes to 13, par, 14, misses that, takes another par. And this is where you wonder, can he keep that momentum that was good in the woods now that the wind is the big factor?
And he hits it right in the chains, even low on the chains, I'd say, but no bueno. No bueno. So that's great for Heimberg when Adam misses. Then we go to hole 15, headwind, 558 feet. We've talked about this before. Calvin is usually great off the tee.
He's one of the only guys that really has a chance to get this to the basket and have a look for birdie. Yeah.
1905, Orem, fifth highest ranked player in professional golf, going for a shot. This is the hole that Brian showed us earlier that's extremely narrow, correct?
Yeah, long, narrow par 3. Everything over the fence on the right is out of bounds. Everything in the road and left is out of bounds. I think that all you need to do is throw a forehand hyzer and get it to finish to the right. And that's what Matty O tries to do. So he is attempting to play a safe shot here, but it gets away from him, goes out of bounds, and basically ends his chances for the tournament.
And when it goes out of bounds, you pick up an extra stroke.
Yeah, because now he's going to have to play from where it last crossed inbounds, throw his third shot, which he does throw a decent third shot, but he takes the bogey there, and he couldn't afford it.
2030, Adam goes for a putt, a big putt.
And he needed that putt. You know, he's struggling here. And it was a bad upshot. He's left himself outside the circle, makes another 35-footer, this time in the wind. So really good putt to stay in contention, but he needs, again, to have some birdies down the stretch.
Hole 16, an easy birdie.
Should be.
24-15, hole 16, Adam going for a shot uphill, downwind. Doesn't look uphill or downwind.
That's just his birdie putt, and he's got 3 pars in a row, so he needs this birdie here to stay, to keep the pressure on everyone else who's competing for the win. He gets it, which is good.
Orem gets a bogey at hole 16. He is now out of contention, and we are looking at now a one mano-a-mano between Adam and Calvin Heimberg. Hole 17.
No, and the problem for Adam here is he's making these putts, but they're all from distance. And it's like it's a lot of stress and pressure to make 35-foot putt after 35-foot putt. And now he's coming here to hole 17, and he's got even further than that.
Here we go. Hole 17. Adam going for it to keep the lead on Heimberg. They might even be tied here.
And that was a really devastating putt for him. Given everything else that was going on the course at the time, he knew that he needed to make this putt, and it was obviously incredibly close. You know, maybe a half inch left, and that's in. But he didn't, you know, like I said, he just made long putt after long putt after long putt to save par, to get a critical birdie. And, you know, you can only make the long putts for so long. Eventually, you got to put one close and give yourself an easy putt.
And so here we go. Vinny Heimberg going
absolutely must make putt for him at this point in the tournament, and heavy chains on the high left side.
Yeah. That hurts. You know, that's what's kind of crazy about this sport. Because I mean that's as good as it gets, and you still are.
I mean, he would say, no, I needed to be 3 inches to the right or 6 inches lower, and I missed my spot.
All right, no excuses. Champs don't make excuses. Fair enough. Look, they're looking for the correction, not anything to blame. Good. Okay, I like.
We should probably go to the chase card now.
Oh, you don't want to do hole 18, par 3? Calvin and Adam, one shot apart. Adam has to throw an ace to win it.
Let's go to chase card.
All right. You guys are just so you know, you should watch the end of that video. It's a par 3, hole 18.
No, let's pull up that ace run after we see what happens on the chase card.
Okay, fine. Okay. Chase card.
Because we're going to show the chase card here because these other guys, Kyle Klein and Cole Redallen, are in the conversation to win. But throughout the entire round, they're one hole ahead of Hammes and Heimberg.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. Scroll this all the way back to way before this. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay. Okay. So this is when you know what the chase card is. The 4 are the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place players
at the start of this round. Yeah.
At the start of this round.
But at this point, if you look at the bottom, Kyle Klein's tied for 1st. Cole Redallen's tied for 4th. Paul McBeston's 6th, and Nate 7th is tied for 7th. So they're all still in the top 10. But Klein has moved all the way up into a tie for 1st.
Okay. 350. Klein going for a big shot. That doesn't look like Klein.
That's Cole Redallen.
Yeah.
And this is a pretty good little jump putt here on an Anheuser angle, but he's out of position on this hole.
In a classic position you should never let anyone take a picture of you in. Okay, here we go. Klein from the bushes.
And these are basically just the distance putts that he was locked in on throughout the round. And up to this point, he has not missed a putt inside the circle on this round.
This is the back nine. We'll go to hole 11.
This is such a good shot.
The 5 minute mark. This is Klein off the tee.
Yeah, and this actually, all the pros will tell you this looks even more narrow when you're standing on the tee box. It's not a far shot, but look at this. I mean, it's the best shot. I mean, it was so pure and perfect the whole way.
Just a straight money shot. 625, Macbeth, 6-time world champion, the $10 million man. After Nate Sexton here.
And Macbeth, we can see he's in 5th place at this point in the tournament. He's still in it for sure, but he cannot afford any misses. So he has to. I think he actually missed the putt before that for birdie, and thankfully for him, he makes the par putt coming back. But he's falling a little bit behind Kyle at this point.
Hole 12 at the 8 minute and 12 minute mark. Macbeth is going for a vital shot. All of his shots are vital. And bam, looks like he hits the same tree that Heimberg hit, that our boy Vinny hit.
Hit the one on the opposite side of the fairway. He just pulled that a little bit. But it's such a hard hole that's basically a guaranteed bogey. And he can, especially after missing the birdie putt on 11, this basically ends Paul's chances to win this tournament for the 3rd time in his career.
845, Cole Redallen, the 16-year-old kid, steps up to the tee.
And by the way, Cole Redallen was in a share of the lead last week at a A-tier event in Arizona. So he's playing as hot as anyone on tour right now. That was a pretty good shot.
Was that a second shot or was that off the tee?
Second shot.
Second shot. Okay.
This is such a hard hole to birdie.
930. Macbeth goes for his second shot. Paul Macbeth.
This is his 3rd shot. Yeah,
And
that's
bam.
his 3rd shot, and he doesn't.
And he hits another tree.
Yep.
So he's toast.
Yeah. Hopefully, we don't have any more Paul Macbeth clips.
Okay, we do, but I'll cut him short. I'll go cut him short. 1025.
Because at this point in the tournament, it's very much like a CrossFit competition. As it's getting down to the last day, the last event, you're narrowing your scope and narrowing your scope. And so while there were 16 guys tied for second an hour ago, now there's only 4 guys left, or 5 guys at this point left that can win.
Heidi's going to live stream the next event. That's good. This is the young kid, the 16-year-old, going for a birdie.
Very rare birdie on 12. Makes it, needed it.
Hole 13, the commentator saying that now we're about to see Macbeth take some serious risks. Unfortunately, he hits another tree. Hole 14, Macbeth does a birdie at 16-15 to try to keep himself in the game. We'll take a quick peek at that's not Macbeth. Here he is. Oh, he shot it. Here we go.
But again, he's way out of position here. Like, he should not be that far away from the basket and have to make a putt of this difficulty from 40 feet downhill on this hole. So his throwing is just slightly off at this point in the round. But since he's so good at putting, he does, keep himself in it a little bit.
Hole 15, the 16-year-old again, Cole Redallen, at 1736. He has to make one off the tee here. This is the narrow hole 15.
Yep, and he goes for the backhand, which is the risky shot, and he turns it over. The wind gets it, and it's straight out of bounds. And this is a really unforced and unnecessary error at this point. He's only 1 shot out of the lead with 4 holes to go, and he's playing head-to-head with Kyle, and he basically eliminates himself from contention right there. Well, we have to watch Kyle Klein's tee shot on this hole. It's the next throw after Cole's.
On the 15th hole?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is
is this 2028? This is
Kyle throws the shot right after Cole. So it's right after this one. And he also goes to the backhand, which I just don't understand. At this point in the tournament, okay, maybe it's right after Macbeth. Yeah, it'll be right after Macbeth.
By the way,
This is Kyle.
Macbeth ends up getting a bogey, and he's out of contention mathematically after.
So
this
Macbeth
hole.
was going for the birdie there because it was the only way he could win was to birdie out the last 4 holes to get to 29 under. So I understood what he was doing, even though, Kyle throws the backhand here and gets a less critical reaction, but it still flips over. It goes over the fence, and then it bounces back underneath the fence to come in bounds.
Caleb, no more than 7 seconds, right?
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to find the disc.
Okay.
So I don't know if we have a great angle of it there or not, but Kyle got it does happen sometimes on this hole because there's a little space under the fence, but it's by no means what he was planning on doing, and it saves him 1 or 2 strokes right here.
By keeping it in bounds?
Yeah, it goes out of bounds, and then it comes back on that S angle that you're talking about. So here we can see it moving to the right, and eventually it moves back to the left and scoots underneath the fence in bounds.
Oh, shit. It landed on the out of bounds side and slid in under the fence?
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow.
So it saved him.
So if that would have been a different kind of fence that a Frisbee couldn't have gone under, that'd be a toast.
It would have been out of bounds. Cost him at least 1, maybe 2 shots.
Wow, crazy.
He's got a
Crazy,
huge
crazy,
break
crazy.
there.
Okay. Is that what we wanted to see, what you wanted to show us for hole 15?
Yeah.
Okay. Hole 16, Macbeth opens up with an out-of-bounds shot. He's toast. Klein at 24:30 goes for a birdie, which would get him a 29 under par, I think, on hole 16. Here we go.
Yeah. So hole 16, everyone is expecting birdie on this hole. Just because you're expecting it doesn't mean you're going to get it. We see Macbeth took a bogey on 15. We see Cole Reddown took a double bogey on 15. So Kyle's feeling good relative to his card here, but Adam and Calvin are still playing really well on the card behind him.
Hole 17, 27:08. Kyle has a chance to really turn up the heat. Let's see if he can do it. 27:08. Hey, just so you guys know, Brian has no idea what I'm going to bring up. 0.
So we saw on hole 17 that Hammes missed a putt for birdie and Heimberg missed a putt for birdie. So we got to see what Kyle's going to do here, because 17 and 18, you can get birdies on both of them, but you can also easily get bogeys.
Okay, here we go. 27:08. Kyle's chance to really turn the heat on.
So he's already thrown an incredible drive to get into the optimal position. And it is really, really difficult to do what he does right here, because he trusts that disc out over the water and out of bounds the entire way to bring it back on the short side of the green into an uphill, and he sticks it, pins it, easy tap in birdie. And remember, he's playing one card ahead of Kyle or of Adam and Calvin. So they're watching him make this birdie, and then they come up behind him and make a par.
I feel like Brian has 48 hours in
Now,
his day.
pause this actually right here. So this is 17's green, and in the background where that green tent is, immediately to the right on the ground is the tee pad for hole 18. So in like 10 minutes from now in real time, Adam and Calvin are on this green, missing those putts, and they're holding Kyle's group on that tee pad, not letting them tee off until Calvin and Adam finish on the green.
Oh, wow.
So as you're watching it live, Calvin's birdied this. They force him to wait until the chase card, the lead card, which is one behind him, finishes hole 17, and he watches both of them miss before he throws his 18th tee shot.
Wow. That's cool.
It's really weird. It's really rare, this situation where the 18th tee can see 17's green. And I really like it for the drama there when a situation like this happens. And I like that they made him wait as well.
Kyle then obviously picks it up, sticks it in the basket. It puts him 30 under, and they go to
Yes. At this very, very, very start of this round on the Disc Golf Network, the Pro Tour announcers, they said, this is a race to 30 under, and my money is on the guy who gets there first.
Wow. Yeah, those guys seem like they know their shit for sure.
The guy who said that is named Nate Doss, and he's a 3-time world champion. Yeah, he's very good.
Kyle gets that with that birdie. He's now a 30 under par for the tournament. We go into hole 18, 29:05. Kyle steps up to the tee.
And this is the first shot. We're going to look at the 18th tee shot here. It is a 470-foot hole, and 450 of it is over water if you go on a straight line. There is a bailout zone to the right, but they're out of bounds over that yellow fence, and there's a bailout zone to the left if you want to play it relatively safe. Kyle is taking no chances. He throws the huge spike hyzer on the outside, and this shot 50-50 if it's going to stay in bounds or not. Comes up short, gets on that hillside, which is water is like right there, and checks it up inside the circle. Up to this point in the round, he has missed 0 putts inside circle 1.
Wow, crazy. And that was an incredible drive off the tee. 29-50, Cole's turn.
Yeah, and Cole Ridal, I mean, this guy it is absolutely insane. He had a bogey on hole 2, a bogey on hole 10, and a double bogey on 15 in this round. That's 3 holes. Of the 15 remaining holes, he had 14 birdies. So he had only 1 par in the entire round. And here we go. Park job on 18. I mean, this is such a sick shot. This kid he's really good.
It looks like he's the future. 31-20, Kyle Klein going for his final shot.
The guys are on the tee pad watching him. And he knows at this point that if I make this putt, the only chance that they have is to throw it in one shot.
Right. So if he makes this, anyone who has a chance of tying him has to get a hole in one.
So it's you never want to say it never, but it's basically for the win.
Here we go.
Windy day, but he's on the correct side of the basket with a tailwind, so he throws it up. Nice little putt center of the chains.
And who's that guy in the back who's pumped that has Klein on there? That's his caddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's pumped. All right. So do you want to find out? Can we go back to that last video, Caleb? Hang in there, guys. Night, my dear. Night.
Yeah, and at this point, there's 1 shot left in the tournament. Calvin needed the putt on 17 to stay in reaching distance. He missed it, so he's at 28 under at this point. But Adam's at 29 under. So if he throws this in the basket, then he'll force a playoff.
Brian saved this fucking narrative by having us leave this and then come back to it. A hole 18, par 3. Calvin and Adam are 1 shot apart, but like we mentioned, Adam has to put an ace here to stay in the game. Has to be a hole in one. Here we go.
And this would be the most epic ace ever. Like, you don't practice running this for an ace because it's so hard just to get it in bounds. But he actually gives us the chance. This is on a really good line, and I love the camera work here too because you're just not quite sure. It was about 15 feet right of what he needed, but coming in there with the camera was panning back, I didn't know. I was like, if that's on line, that might be in.
Calvin ends up taking 3rd in the tournament. Klein 1st, Adam 2nd. And that's it. We did it. We did a fucking week too. Brian does not know. Oh, next week we're headed off to Austin.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Brian does not know any how this works, by the way. He just gives me the shows to watch, and then I just pull up shit that I think is cool. And then Caleb has to actually find it since the time codes aren't actually lined up correctly. And it's fucking crazy. I can't believe we talk about Frisbee golf for fucking 1 hour and 58 minutes. Based on just like, it's like a test. This is like a test for Brian. Brian's like, hey, will you test me see if my autism is going away? No, it's not, Brian. It has not waned at all. You are still 100% autistic. Don't get off your medication.
But it's, I mean, honestly, I think it's gonna be a pretty good year for disc golf. As you can see, there's a lot of guys that are in contention. A lot of them are young, but you still have guys that have been around a long time, like Nicola Castro, Paul McBeth, Nate Sexton, that are relevant for having top 10 finishes, Matty O. And the next week, also, Ricky Wysocki might return to the – thanks, Scott.
What's that? Is that the only Japanese player? The DEI council's letting him in? Richie Wysocki?
Ricky Wysocki, no. He's he won the points – tour points last year by 1 shot over Macbeth.
Wow.
He's 2-time world champion. He's the guy who has a 4-year, $4 million contract with his disc company. And some people think he's the best player in the world, but he's had a wrist injury that's kept him out of the first 2 tournaments. I think he won the Open at Austin last year. I think he's won it like possibly every year he's played in it. So if he is playing next year, he'll probably be relevant.
And when is that?
That's this upcoming weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Shit, they don't give us a week break?
Nope.
Why not? Last week we got a break.
Yeah, there's sometimes where you'll get a month break.
Oh man, are we doing Monday again? It's crazy trying to watch all that shit and like, well, I guess it stays fresh in my head.
This week they have one, and then the next one isn't until April 7th. So you get 2 weeks off.
Okay, so and then Jomez and these guys, these Gatekeeper Media, these guys will have it all ready for us to watch on Monday morning again, and then we just plagiarize their shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Jomez and Gatekeeper Media.
And after that, we'll have the first major of the year.
Well, and what's that mean?
It's just like, in golf, they have 4 majors. Like those are the big ones. Those are the ones that people want to win. If you're like talking about someone's career resume, you'll say, how many world championships do they have? How many majors do they have? How many Pro Tour Elite Series event wins do they have? Maybe how many tour championships they have. So there's a lot of players that would say, I would sacrifice. If I win 1 major this year, it's a good year. Like that's the goal.
I'm afraid to tell people to subscribe because after seeing this show, they may unsubscribe.
No, this is a very specific audience. I don't care if 5 people watch it. We're just seeing how it goes.
Sevan and Bryant Savant. That's fair. Okay. Tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow morning we have the live call-in show, and then tomorrow morning 7 a.m. Caleb, will you be here tomorrow morning 7 a.m.?
There's nothing scheduled for the morning.
Live call-in show.
We have the quarterfinal. We have the quarterfinal show at 6 p.m. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, maybe we should just do that show we've been teasing. If you don't have anything but a live call-in, unless you're desperate to do something on that show.
I'd love to do live call-in shows. Oh, you mean I just interview you and figure you out?
Yeah.
You want to come on tomorrow? Are you available tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Let's do it. It's gonna be hard to stay on subject, dude.
Well, that's what I was saying. If you're desperate to get to some of these topics you love, then we'll put it off again.
No, let's do it. You around tomorrow morning?
I am.
Tomorrow morning, I will bring my microscope. Oh, so we need to change the name of that show. Who is Brian Friend?
I'll change it.
Okay. And then maybe Bruce Wayne can make us a
new thumbnail.
A new thumbnail. All right. I love that. Thank you, Brian. You're so available. Oh, so tomorrow, so it's basically 3 shows in a row with our friend Brian Friend. It's just like the old days.
Heidi's on point here, by the way, Sevan. You're totally misrepresenting me.
You don't need a microscope with Brian.
She's
Heidi,
good.
you're fucking good, dude. You're a good dude. Will TDC ever get nailed down in the studio? I actually called him today and told him he needs to come on before he becomes irrelevant. So maybe he will. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it all. His childhood, his adulthood, his first girlfriend, first time he ever smoked weed. When did he realize he had autistic tendencies? All that stuff.
He had an answer for every one of those questions.
All right. We will see you guys tomorrow. I'm pumped. And thank you, Caleb. Bye-bye.